former government minister Donville Inniss to launch a vigorous appeal after being found guilty in a U.S. court. That's the story we are tracking in your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Thursday, January 16. Without much visible emotion, Donville Inniss sat quietly in the Eastern District Court of New York as a 12-member jury found him guilty on 2 counts of money laundering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. His loved one shed tears as the unanimous decision was delivered just under 2 hours after the jury had begun deliberations. The court found that Inniss took bribes from the Insurance Corporation of Barbados in 2015 and 2016 while he was Minister of Industry, International Business, Commerce and Small Business Development. ICBL paid him US $36,000 to use his authority to ensure that the firm's $1 million contract with the state-owned Barbados Industrial Development Corporation was renewed. Inniss is to remain on bail pending sentencing next month. His attorney is immediately planning to appeal the outcome on the grounds of insufficient evidence. Meanwhile, DLP President Verla de Pisa has described the guilty verdict against Inniss as a sad day for the country and the party. She added that it was also a warning for all politicians, persons in public life, and corporate entities. She urged that all must learn the lesson of this bleak day and ensure that it never ever happens again. Barbados recorded its 2nd murder of the year today. 37-year-old Marlon Holder of Maynard's housing area, St. Peter, formerly of Hillview Road, Marleyville, St. Philip, was shot and killed at Taylor's Gap, Western St. James, near the St. Albans Primary School. Our Kareem Smith has the story.
Students, teachers and parents here at the St. Albans Primary School were thrown into a state of panic as gunshots rang out just outside the compound. When it was finished, 37-year-old Marlon Holder was the lone victim, and what's worse is that his 6-year-old son and his longtime girlfriend were with him when it happened.
We responded to a report of a shooting incident at Taylor's Gap, Western St. James. On the arrival of the police, we saw a private motor car at the side of the road, which observed had a number of bullet holes in that car. We did some investigations, and we discovered the lifeless body of a male next to the road.
When I first get the news, I was just making breakfast. And when I hear Marlon father call me and say, Myrtle, you hear anything about Marlon? I now get a call that Marlon get shot. I said, oh my God, who want to kill my child? And I start to scream. And my other sons come and say, Mommy, hold on, mommy, hold. Don't think, sit down, relax, Marlon gonna be good, I said, no, Marlon ain't gonna be good, I don't know where he get shooting with the body shooting. So then later I hear Ian responding, and I said, oh Lord, look at somebody gone and killed my child early this morning. Look, somebody killed my child. And I start to scream then.
This is a very difficult time for all concerned, particularly the staff of the St. Albans Primary. They have been impacted this morning as a result of what I consider to be a very lawless act, one which has taken place on close proximity to a school compound, a primary school compound, in the early hours prior to school commencing. Students would have been traversing on their way to school. Teachers would have been entering the compound. There were students obviously on the premises at the time. A number of our school meals workers would have been here, the ancillary staff, the persons who from the PTA deal with the issues of traffic on mornings. They have all been impacted in one way or the other. Some would have been at the time in the vicinity, and obviously they had to deal with the students who were crying as a result of what had transpired. Many of them, we are ensuring that they get the necessary counseling. We've already deployed the staff into the school. That will continue into this afternoon, and we are proposing then tomorrow to be able to continue counseling at the school.
In reaction, Attorney General Dale Marshall described the incident as an act of sheer evil. Disclosing that the National Security Council will meet this evening, Marshall issued a warning to criminals.
We will not allow you to destroy our society. The handful of you will not be allowed to wreak havoc unchecked in Barbados. We are intent on bringing Barbados back to a state of relative peace and safety, and we will do whatever we must. No lawful action will be considered to be out of reach of the Royal Barbados Police Force, and I am charging them with bringing these lawless people to swift justice. Barbados must become a very uncomfortable place for these villains.
Just yesterday, Home Affairs Minister Edmund Hinkson was at the St. Albans Primary School when he spoke to journalists and appealed to Barbadians to speak out against crime.
All of us are Barbadians who live in this country and have to put our hands on the deck to try and curb it. And one of the major problems is people in Barbados who know what's going on, or who have illegal guns and who creating problems around this country and won't come and get the information.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back to Regional Happenings. In Guyana, 11 parties are set to contest the March 2 elections. Handel Duncan of HGP TV News tells us more.
Now those parties are expected to be officially gazetted. It started out with 19 political parties indicating an interest to contest the upcoming polls, but by nomination day, that number had dwindled to 13, and by the time GCOM completed its examination to ensure that the submitted lists from the respective parties met the statutory requirements, it was concluded that 11 parties have qualified to contest the regional and general elections. Public Relations Officer at GCOM, Yolanda Ward, said only 9 out of the 11 parties have qualified to contest the general elections.
While we have 2 parties that are only contesting the regional election. So that brings us to the 11. But at the top of the ballot paper, it's ideally 9 parties in total that will be contesting in the general election.
Even though GCOM held a sensitization exercise in the lead-up to nomination day with political parties, some still failed to meet the eligibility requirements.
And on the international scene, the Senate impeachment trial on whether to remove U.S. President Donald Trump from office formally began on Thursday, even as a congressional watchdog found that the White House broke the law by withholding security aid for Ukraine approved by Congress. More from Reuters Television.
A government watchdog on Thursday said the White House broke the law when it blocked congressionally approved military aid to Ukraine last summer. The Nonpartisan Government Accountability Office said a temporary hold on $391 million of assistance placed by the White House's Office of Management and Budget was, quote, not permitted, writing, faithful execution of the law does not permit the president to substitute his own policy priorities for those that Congress has enacted into law. The decision by the GAO delivers a blow to the president just as his impeachment trial gets underway. Democrats accused Trump of abusing his office by withholding the aid in order to pressure Ukraine into digging up dirt on his political opponents.
Today, and this is today, the Government Accounting Office confirmed that the president's actions at the center of our impeachment articles, withholding congressionally approved military aid from Ukraine, was illegal.
The White House's decision back in July to suspend military aid quickly raised alarms at the Pentagon, the State Department, and in Kiev.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Azuma Media in bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.